You want to make sure that you have floppy feet. Now, sometimes you'll run into swimmers who actually have flexed feet, and they'll be stiff, and they'll be kicking like this in the water. What you want is to have long feet. You want to have floppy feet on the end, so they're actually catching the water and forcing it backwards. A lot of times you'll find kids that actually kick way too big. They use that old soccer style approach, you know, to having the full swing or kicking a football or something, to where their kick, they think the bigger they kick, the more powerful, which means that means that they're going to go faster. So that's actually not the case. A way to actually shorten up the swimmer's kick, here's a little trick. Tell the swimmer not to kick any wider than their hips by putting their hands on their hips, raising them up, turning them this way, and then they should be able to kick. Now, the reason that that's so effective is because it gives the swimmer something to visualize when they're in the water. They may not be able to respond properly if you just say kick bigger or kick smaller, but if they can think, oh, I'm trying to kick within the width of my hips, then it usually gives them a range, a limit that they're trying to kick within, and it'll help them to develop a short and fast kick rather than a big and slow kick, which might be so big that it's actually slowing down their kick. Now, a pattern means you have a constant, consistent repetition within the kick. Sometimes you'll see swimmers, with flutter kick especially, is they will do a few kicks and then they'll stop or take a pause, or they'll do a few kicks and let one big crazy leg flop in there, and it interrupts the continuous motion and momentum and speed within the stroke. So you want to make sure that you have a consistent kick. Now, the easiest way that I have found is to have the swimmers actually count it. The most common patterns that you'll find in competitive swimming are usually the 6-beat or the 8-beat approach. And that means for every full arm stroke, you're going to actually kick either 6 or 8 times. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, when you're teaching swimmers this skill, sometimes they'll count to 6 and then they'll pause and then they'll start again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But make sure that you emphasize to them that it is a continuous kicking, and they're counting to 6, but there is no pause in between the 6 or 8 beats, whatever they're doing. You don't want your foot to actually break the surface on the flutter kick. You don't want it to come up above the surface of the water. You want your kick to be churning fast, but you want it to actually stay below the surface. Now, it may appear, if you're watching some swimmers, that their foot is coming up, but they will have a cusp of water that's actually over top of their feet. They're just really hanging close to the surface, and that's fine. As long as your foot doesn't actually physically break the surface of the water and you're kicking continuously against water, then you're going to generate the most thrust from the kick.